What's the difference between HexClad and Henckels HXagon pans? And why do HexClad pans cost twice as much? Is it because they spend more on advertising and pay celebrity chef Gordon Ramsay to promote them? Or is HexClad actually better? In this video, I test these two brands head to head. You'll see how they perform as I cook eggs, pancakes, burgers, and chicken. I also test their heat conduction, heat retention, and efficiency on induction cooktops. So if you're thinking about buying hybrid cookware, but you're not sure if you should splurge on HexClad or save money on Henckels HXagon pans, watch this video to the very end. First, I conducted an egg test. I preheated both pans on low for a couple of minutes, then added an egg to each pan without greasing the cooking surfaces. You can cook eggs in most traditional nonstick pans with little to no oil or butter, but unfortunately that's not the case with HexClad or Henckels HXagon. The eggs stuck to both pans and fell apart when I tried to move them. Because both pans integrate raised stainless steel hexagons into the cooking surface to protect the nonstick coating, they're not as slick as traditional nonstick pans. As a result, delicate foods like eggs are more likely to stick if the surface isn't greased. I repeated the test, but instead of leaving the cooking surface dry, I greased each pan with oil and butter before adding the eggs. This time, the eggs released from the cooking surface with no issue. One noticeable difference between HexClad and Henckels is that the Henckels pan heated much faster. Both burners were set to the same heat level, but the egg in the Henckels pan cooked faster and got crispier on the outside. I also cooked pancakes in both pans. Again, the Henckels HXagon pan heated faster than the HexClad pan. Both pans heated evenly and the pancakes released from the surface without sticking, but when I flipped the pancakes, you could clearly see that the one in the Henckels pan cooked faster with more browning. For my next test, I cooked chicken thighs in both pans to see which browned the meat better. After preheating both pans on medium, I greased the surfaces with oil and added the chicken. After a few minutes, I flipped the chicken and was not surprised to see that the piece cooking in the Henckels pan was significantly browner. However, the piece in the HexClad pan also had good color and appeared to be cooking more evenly. After a couple more minutes, I flipped the chicken again. On this side, the browning was much more similar between both pieces. I brushed the chicken with barbecue sauce and finished it in the oven. Despite the Henckels pan heating faster initially, both pans browned the meat evenly, and there was no noticeable difference in the end result. I also cooked a burger in both pans. On the first flip, the sears were almost identical. Both pans did a great job forming a crust on the burgers. However, after flipping again, I noticed the sear on the Henckels burger was slightly lighter than the one on the HexClad burger. Either the pan lost some heat from the cold meat, or the burger wasn't pressed down and making enough contact with the pan. Regardless, both burgers cooked evenly and browned nicely. The difference in performance was minor. Based on these cooking tests, HexClad and Henckels HXagon pans both heat evenly, and food doesn't stick when the surface is greased. But to further test how fast these pans heat up and how well they maintain heat, I conducted two simple experiments. First, I poured 2 cups of cold water into each pan. The initial water temperature in both pans was 55 degrees Fahrenheit. I heated each pan on the highest setting using the same electric burner. The water in the Henckels pan started boiling at the 2-minute and 19-second mark. And as expected, the HexClad pan heated slightly slower. The water started boiling at the 2-minute and 30-second mark. After the water started boiling, I took the pans off the heat and set them aside to cool. After 5 minutes, the water in the Henckels pan was 113 degrees Fahrenheit, and the water in the HexClad pan was 120 degrees Fahrenheit. After 10 minutes, the water in the Henckels pan was 96 degrees Fahrenheit, and the water in the HexClad pan was 102 degrees Fahrenheit. I wasn't surprised by these results for 2 reasons. 1, it's what I saw during my cooking tests. And 2, HexClad pans are 3 millimeters thick, and Henckels pans are 2.4 millimeters thick. Unless the materials are different, which they aren't in this case, thicker pans heat slower but retain heat better. The goal of my final test was to see which pan heats faster on induction. This type of cooktop is different than electric and gas. Instead of hot coils or flames heating the pan, which then heats the food, induction cooktops use magnetic fields to generate electric currents directly in the pan, making the pan itself the heat source. For this test, I poured 2 cups of water into both brands' 8-inch frying pans. I used that size because they fit nicely side by side on my induction burner. Then I turned both burners on at the same time to 248 degrees Fahrenheit, the highest temperature possible when using them together. Water in the HexClad pan started to bubble first, around the 2-minute and 10-second mark. Around the 5-minute and 30-second mark, the water in the HexClad pan came to a full boil, while the water in the Henckels pan was still simmering. The overall takeaway from these tests is that because Henckels pans are thinner, they heat faster on gas and electric cooktops, but also cool down faster. With Henckels, you need to pay closer attention when cooking because the pan can quickly overheat and burn or overcook the food. With the exception of induction cooktops, HexClad pans heat slower but are easier to control since they maintain a steadier temperature. Besides cooking performance, there are a few other differences to consider. Both pans have rounded handles that fork at the end to disperse heat, but Henckels handles are angled higher, while HexClad handles are more even with the rim of the pan. Henckels handles are also a ½ inch longer and feature their logo and a slight indentation for your thumb. HexClad handles are smooth with no engravings or grooves. The better design is subjective, but I like Henckels handle because it's longer and the higher angle keeps your hand further from the heat. Both pans have raised stainless steel peaks and non-stick valleys on the cooking surface, but Henckels pans have a higher ratio of steel to non-stick coating. I thought this might make Henckels pans more sticky when cooking eggs, but I didn't notice a difference during my tests. Also, HexClad rivets are flatter. Since Henckels rivets stick out more, they're more likely to trap oil in food and are slightly more difficult to clean. The bottoms of these pans are also different. HexClad extends the non-stick and stainless steel hexagon pattern to the bottom. Henckels pans have a hybrid finish on the cooking surface, but the bottoms are polished steel. The non-stick coating on the bottom makes HexClad pans a bit easier to clean. Henckels all-steel bottom is more prone to staining and discoloration. You need to occasionally use a product like Barkeeper's Friend to restore the shine. Although I have not experienced this problem, a PrudentReviews.com reader reached out and told me that the bottom of her HexClad pan left noticeable scratches on her glass cooktop. There were no visible burrs on the bottom of the pan, so she believes the raised hexagon pattern caused the scratches. I searched through thousands of HexClad reviews on various retail sites and only found a few similar complaints, so it doesn't appear to be a common issue. But it's a potential risk to consider if you have a glass cooktop. Price is one of the most significant differences between HexClad and Henckels HXagon cookware. Simply put, HexClad pans are significantly more expensive. For example, the 12-inch HexClad frying pan is currently listed on HexClad.com for $179. The Henckels 3-piece set, which includes 8, 10, and 12-inch frying pans, is listed at only $87 on Costco.com. So is HexClad worth the higher price, or should you go with the less expensive Henckels pans? Based on my testing, the differences between these two brands are not significant enough to justify paying more than twice as much for HexClad. Both heat evenly, release food without sticking, and sear meat well. Although HexClad pans retain heat better and heat faster on induction cooktops, the differences are minor. Plus, Henckels handles are longer and the bottom is smooth, so you don't have to worry about scratching your cooktop. That said, HexClad does have some advantages. Most notably, it's been in the market for years and has become one of the most popular cookware brands. Part of its success is due to great marketing, but the product has also been thoroughly tested and has proven to perform well. Although some people dislike HexClad and call it a gimmick, thousands of happy customers say otherwise. I've used HexClad for years, and although it has flaws, it's one of the more versatile pans I've tested. Henckels has been around a long time, but the HXagon collection is brand new. I assume because of its hybrid design that it will last longer than traditional nonstick cookware, but only time will tell. The construction is significantly thinner than HexClad, so it may be more prone to warping. If you're ready to buy, I've linked to both brands in the video description. Those are affiliate links, so I'll earn a commission if you click and buy, but at no extra cost to you. If this was helpful and you want to learn more, check out this video where I go more in depth on the pros and cons of HexClad. And for more videos like this, click the logo to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.